Hi, my name is Chris, aka ThePhilosophersGames, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to make some predictions for the last and final episode of Season 1 of Rings of Power, which will come out on Friday. And we have quite a few mysteries left in the show, so it might be interesting to do some guessing here, or guesstimating, as I called this format in the past, which is always kind of fun in my opinion. Feel free to join me and write your predictions in the comment section, and of course, spoiler warning, for this I consider you have at least seen all the released episodes, so the 7 episodes so far. But let's start. First, we have the Cultists. So that is an interesting one in my opinion, simply because we have so little information here to work with, so it's purely speculation here, and a good guess is pretty difficult to make. I think because maybe this looks a bit like the Eye of Sauron, and I don't know, they are also kind of mean to the hobbits, and we have some symbols like dragons, for example here on this thing. I would suggest another detail I noticed just recently. This figurehead might look distantly similar, probably not, to the statue we see in the Watchtower of Ostirith. So, I don't know, they might be connected to Sauron. So I would say they're kind of Sauron or Morgoth cultists. That would be my prediction. I mean, it could also be that they have like a bigger task. Maybe I don't see them to be kind of good or so and want to bring the stranger back to, I don't know, Valinor or something. That would be really strange. But also on this staff we see a little dragon here. So I would argue, especially how they treated the hobbits for no apparent reason in a way, I would definitely say cultists of Sauron or Morgoth, something like this. And there was some information that they might be from Rhûn, so kind of interesting to see how this is connected. We know that Sauron was a time in Rhûn and hid in the very far east. We know this from a letter from Gil-galad to the king of Numenor in the Unfinished Tales, so maybe that is what they are referencing here. So my suggestion is they are cultists, they saw the meteor as well and are now searching for their Dark Lord or something like that. That would be my interpretation and prediction for them in the show. Then next would be the Stranger. The Stranger is a difficult one because there are a lot of options for him. I personally think they go with the Istari route, so one of the wizards. Either Gandalf or Radagast would be my bet here, because he had some was healing the tree. Maybe he's closer to nature, I don't know, would be closer to Radagast, but I guess Gandalf would work as well. It wasn't like Gandalf hated nature. He was out there in the wild a lot, and I don't know, it might be kind of fitting. I don't like the idea that it's Gandalf, to be honest, but that's maybe what they're going for. The heart of me as a fan maybe goes more towards a blue wizard, one of the 2 blue wizards, but the problem with that is they might not have rights to those, and second, as the name suggests, blue wizards, plural, they usually, they're very good friends according to my understanding of them, and where's the other blue wizard then? That would be kind of strange. Another possibility would be they make up like a new wizard that isn't in the books, like a green wizard. I'm not sure if they could do this, but whatever. It might be an option here to be. The Sauron theory for me is the most unlikely one now, but I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that, because the cultists seem to search for the Stranger, and they, I assume, search Sauron or Morgoth or something. I don't know. I don't get any Sauron or Morgoth vibes from this guy, so it would be a really big surprise if that turns out to be true. There's another theory I really like. There is the poem of the Hobbits published in a book called The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, which was also published during Tolkien's lifetime, so it's kind of canon, but it's considered like Hobbit folklore. And in that there's a poem about the men in the moon. There are 2 poems in that. One is even in the Lord of the Rings of them, and the second poem in this book describes the men of the moon basically tripping and falling down the stairs and falling off the moon, crashing on Arda, the world like a meteor. And this might be the reference here. It's now unclear if he's really from the moon or not, but due to his powers that he have that are immense, he must be one of the spirit beings, one of the Ainur. And I assume he's not a Valar, so one of the, let's call them high angels or gods, but one of the lower ranked angels, the Maiar. And those are like, I don't know, half gods or lower gods. I don't know how to describe this, but let's call them like angels of lower rank or something like that. And as a result, there are not that many entities that he could be. So I don't see, as said, an evil entity in him, because he has too much, like he's really sad. His face expression I interpret as, okay, I'm sorry that I caused this trouble here and there. That is would be strange for like an evil entity. So I would definitely put him towards one of the good guys, and there are not that many left. There's also, like, if he is the man in the moon, that is either its own entity now, or it might reference Tilion, which is the guardian of the moon, and he's basically guiding the moon along. Same, the sun also has a guardian. This Maiar's called Arien, and Tilion's always chasing Arien. When he gets too close, he burns himself. So that is a kind of interesting story. And he's also searching the stars and looking always at the moon and so on. So that might be kind of fitting. However, it could just be that he's Gandalf, and this meteor incident basically is the origin story of this poem, which is of course not historically accurate and just a fun little folklore poem. But I still think that is what they are referencing here. But if you consider who he really might be, and it's not even clear if we will find out next episode, but my suspicion is on Gandalf or, I don't know, Radagast or something. Next we have Halbrand, which is one I'm pretty sure about, and I'm not sure if I like it, but that is what I think the showrunners will go for. I think he is Sauron. And the reason why I think that is that it's simply too convenient that here at the end we see him going to the Elven realms. He potentially goes to Eregion, and if they bring, or if Galadriel brings a person to Eregion, and this person also, as we know from the Númenórean episodes, likes to smith and to craft, that is, in my opinion, just too many coincidences at one to exclude this possibility. I think it's even impossible to make like an appearance of a character, besides not showing him at all, having him all the time off screen, that comes to Eregion or to Lindon or wherever and is talking about rings. Like, as soon as somebody comes and, yeah, dude, I'm from this other place, maybe the West Continent, I'm an ambassador and I have some secret knowledge about rings, everybody knows automatically, okay, that must be Sauron. Like, in my opinion, it's very difficult to set this up in a way that nobody sees it coming. And in a way, people often hoped that there were just a lot of red herrings with Halbrand, because it, from the beginning, felt too obvious that something is wrong with this guy. And they also had these hints. We have seen him in Númenor behind bars. We have seen that he likes, as said, the forge and is always close to the smithy and so on. He even tries to get the guild crest to work there and so on. It's very interesting. Then also, he seems to be kind of a scoundrel and has some interesting ideas. I think the biggest giveaway for him is what he said to Galadriel about mastering potential your enemy. Like, he said, give your enemy the means to master its problems and then master him, basically. And that is 100% playbooks what Sauron does. Sauron gives the elves, for example, the rings of power to master their problems, and then he masters them due to that. And that makes complete sense, just how he works and operates. And so from all the characters fitting to Sauron and what he does most, it's him. And it would even be more vicious to maybe pretend so many things, maybe to just use characters in the show to manipulate them for his means. That's pretty Sauron-like. So from all of that, I think he must be Sauron. There is no other way. It would be strange because the show is lacking one thing, an antagonist, a real antagonist. I really like Adar, but he is only just a very grey character, and at the end of episode 6, when Orodruin breaks out, he has reached his goal. So what is his further purpose? The show is lacking, really lacking, like a certain points where all the world and antagonist is pushing towards to. And usually this point is an antagonist, and we don't have that. They need to establish, in my opinion, one for season 2, and maybe also give like an interesting plot twist at the end of season 1. So I see Halbrand as being Sauron, being a very, very solid option in this regard. I know there are some details that don't work out that well, because why would he save Galadriel then? Why is he in some scenes where he is alone also? He seems to struggle. When he's just pretending or acting, when nobody's around, he doesn't need to act anymore. You know what I mean? That seems strange. However, it could be that we see a very early Sauron who is still not sure what to do next, kind of, and is maybe also considering being somewhat repentant, if that makes sense. Though it might contradict the books a bit, but it seems like the show doesn't care too much about changing up the timeline, and it is still, in my opinion, as said, the most likely outcome for him to be Sauron, especially knowing that he now rides with Galadriel toward the Elven realms and potentially causes trouble there. As soon as he talks to Celebrimbor, maybe he gets healed there or whatever, and then he says, hey, Celebrimbor, do you ever try this and that? And maybe they talk about their craft and the new forge that was built there and so on. There are too many things aligning too well to not use it here. And just introducing we have 1 hour left in the last episode, a completely new character that is kind of obvious for everybody that it might be him. I don't see this. And in addition, because he is the king of the Southlands, and if nobody knows who he has a pretty good argument when he says, oh, by the way, I need just to go back to Mordor for a moment and see my people there and see what's going on there, because I'm their king. Maybe I return later or so to you. And nobody would be suspicious in a way, at least not Celebrimbor. I think Galadriel will be very suspicious, and we might see that she will look through his disguise or something like this, and nobody will believe her. Something like that I could see coming in the last episode. And that is basically all predictions that are very big and still open for the last episode. Besides, will the Rings of Power be forged there by Celebrimbor, for example? I'm not 100% sure if we will see that. Maybe we see a start, like maybe they experiment a bit and we see like a starting point for the creation of the Rings of Power, but I don't see them. It would be a really big downer, in my opinion, if they would already show the forging of the Great Rings of Power, because that is one of the most iconic things in the Second Age, and they just put it into one episode without much build-up and just, here on this completely unrealistic journey to Eregion, where we put like a heavily or a wounded man on a horse and let him ride for, 800 to over 1,100 miles. That makes no sense at all, and it's already very constructed, I have to admit. So, I don't know, but I hope they just leave the forging of the rings and the consequences of that for the second season. Also the creation of the One Ring. That would be pretty awesome, in my opinion. And I just hope we see like very early ring crafting in this episode. Is there anything left or anything I forgot? That's probably the biggest question here. We had the Stranger, we had the Cultists, we had Halbrand, we had the forging of the rings, and what might happen in season 2 then. I think that should be everything there is. I mean, there could be a few more predictions regarding maybe we see one of the Harfoots being killed, like Sadok or so. Definitely a possibility, maybe in the conflict with the Cultists, who seem also to be very powerful. And it would be a strong moment if somebody gets killed. I don't hope it's Nori or Poppy, because I really like them. But like, there could be a strong realization for the stranger if he actually knows now what it means if somebody dies. That is important to him. Like, from a narrative perspective, I feel like that could happen. I don't hope that it will happen though, because that would be a really big bummer, I have to admit, at the end of this troubled season already. When it comes to Elrond and the dwarves, also and Durin, it's also pretty hard to tell if what we will see there. Some speculate that Prince Durin is actually disinherited and maybe has to take a new name, becoming Narvi, the dwarf who created the Doors of Durin we know from The Lord of the Rings. That would be kind of interesting, but I hope it's not true and we see maybe some changes in this regard. Maybe he also reconciles with his father. It's pretty hard to tell, in my opinion. There's of course Arondir, Bronwyn and Theo left. I'm not sure what happens to them in this episode. They want to go to Pelargir. It would be cool to see this place as a location in the show, but I don't know. If I was right, we will see next episode. Thank you for watching. I hope this was in any form, shape or form useful. I hope people discuss a little bit friendly and respectfully in my comment section. That would be awesome. If you liked the video, press the like button. If you aren't subscribed to this channel, maybe do this. I will definitely cover the show in the future as well. And we will have plenty to discuss after the final episode is out. There will be like an in-depth analysis stream that goes on for quite some hour. I will make a review for the episode again. There will be another roundtable with other Tolkien creators on this channel here as a live stream as well. And we make a watch party at some point. So yeah, plenty of Rings of Power content for the time to come. And I feel like the last episode might be what decides how the reception of the Rings of Power show will be. If they really screw up the last episode, I feel like, oh boy, that will be rough. But maybe if they deliver a really good episode, I wouldn't say it would elevate this episode to absolute awesomeness, but it would definitely help to have a very good final episode for the show. I hope they can kind of nail that, and I'm very curious how the reception of that will be, besides the already defined opinions, if it maybe changed some opinions and so on. Very interesting to see. After the show is covered and all of that, there will be also normal book lore content on this channel. In this context, I can also recommend if maybe check out some of my other lore videos. I've also one about Galadriel, which is, in my opinion, pretty good. Also Elrond, Sauron, and so on. So if you like very long and detailed lore videos that only focus on the books, check those out. Again, thank you people for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.